First time in Acapulco?
It is. It is.
How you find it?
Might be the last time. I get here and I find out this is the murder capital of the world, man. So that kind of had me a little bit nervous, but enjoyed it. Enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's certainly been an interesting experience. How is we're going to go back and have a look at some of your past, your greatest hits, so to speak. But
Okay.
first of all, I want to talk about you and growing up. You are, of course, the Magic Man. You are from Florida. Tell me about growing up in Florida in that way.
Well, a lot of people may not know I got the moniker, the Magic Man, because I was born and raised in the Magic City of Orlando, Florida. You know, we got the Magic Kingdom, we have the Orlando Magic, and the color, the royal blue and black and silver, that's my color, man. So it was a natural fit, and I had the notion to make all of the light heavyweights disappear. So the Magic Man was definitely fitting.
Now, one of the questions that I've asked some of the legends that we've spoken to this week, I mean, most fighters are quite naturally athletic. Did you try any other sports, or was it just boxing for you?
Oh no, once boxing was, removed from me at 14 years old, I started taking up other sports. I'm very athletic. I played quarterback, I played wide receiver. I was a heck of a basketball player. You know what I'm saying? I thought I was going to get a scholarship in basketball. It didn't happen. But, God has a way of making everything happen like it's supposed to happen. So I got back into boxing at the late age of like 19. And then I tried out for the Eastern Olympic trials. I got robbed in that tournament in 1992. And because I had Olympic dreams, I sacrificed 4 more years to make the 96 Olympic team.
You are a high-class amateur. You Pan American Games gold medalist, you World Championship gold medalist. What were your highlights of your amateur career?
I think the highlight was becoming the first amateur in the history of the sport in America to win the national championships, the Pan American Games, and the World Championships all in the same year. That was a great feat. And going into Atlanta, I was the favorite to win gold. You know what I'm saying? So that was a great feat. I led my team, and this was a historical team. We got a bunch of legends on this team. And if you look at how many medals we secured, a lot of people would argue that we could possibly have been the best Olympic team assembled. I know a lot of people are going to argue that. 84 was a great team, which I adore all those guys. 88 was an amazing team. But like I said, it's just an opinion.
For people who are watching, so maybe not familiar with that great Olympic team in 1996, just tell people who on that team.
Well, I'll start by young Fernando Ferocious Vargas. And, he had his legendary fights with Trinidad as well as Oscar De La Hoya. Who can say Pretty Boy Floyd? I gave him his moniker, his first moniker. I named Pretty Boy Floyd. Floyd Mayweather, TBE, the best ever. You had the Magic Man. I mean, I had an amazing career in some big moments. And when you look at David Reed winning the title, I think at his 14th fight, maybe it's been 12 if I'm not mistaken, David Reed. So we had a lot of Eric Morrell was able to win a championship. You got David Diaz from Chicago was able to win a championship. So I believe we put out more champions than any Olympic team has so far.
You didn't get that gold medal. You lost to the fighter we're all very familiar with as well, Vassiliy Jirov.
Yes.
Also became cruiserweight champion himself. What was it like? You mentioned your Olympic dream. You came up short there. What was that like for you?
It was heart-wrenching, man, heart-wrenching. Just to come up short, and when I put so much into it, I felt like I didn't get a fair decision. None of my punches were scoring, and just to get to that last round after I thought I had a dominating second round, and to realize I was down 3 points, it kind of felt like I saw everything slipping away, and I kind of went outside of what my normal boxing style would have been, pressing, trying to get back that second round, which I thought I dominated by a landslide. So, that was something I felt that, I kept that with me for a long time. And it wasn't until I captured the world title as a professional that I felt like, I had finally vindicated myself from, I think, that bad decision in Atlanta.
You mentioned Vassiliy Jirov, who's somebody who went on to have success as a pro as well. He's a great cruiserweight fighter with James Toney. How well do you know James?
I know James very well. I knew Vassiliy very well. I knew that would be a heck of a fight. I was fortunate enough to be on that undercard. I beat Montel Griffin to win my first world championship, the IBF and the WBC. So that was a monumental moment for me. And just to be that close to James Toney and Vassiliy Jirov, which at that time, I was light heavyweight, James was cruiserweight. I thought it would have been a good fight if we could have made something happen then. At that time, when you look at how great James Toney was.
Did it ever get close, you and James fighting? Because you were James went kind of up and down the weights, sometimes you were the middleweight, sometimes the cruiserweight, heavyweight. Was it ever close to you in fighting?
No, it wasn't, but it's just hindsight when you look at some of those classic fights that you could have had and could have made. I look at James Toney as being one of those. Man, James Toney and Tarver, can you imagine the press conference, the build up, and then the actual fight, man? That would have been legendary in itself.
You just mentioned it, I was going to come on to it, you win over Montel Griffin to become the light heavyweight titles. Just describe that feeling, getting your hands on that championship goal.
Like I said, man, I felt like I finally vindicated myself, you know what I'm saying? But again, winning the title really don't make you the man. I had a superstar that was in front of me, and until you beat that guy, you really didn't get the credibility or the credit you deserve, because everyone thought he was the guy to beat. He was the man in the division, no matter what. At that time, Roy Jones was probably bigger than the titles.
You mentioned Roy Jones there. Of course, he went up and did his thing at heavyweight against John Ruiz. He came down, you've eventually got that fight. What are your recollections of the first fight?
My recollection of the first fight, I was on my game. I was sharp that night. I had arrived. I just wanted to show the world that I was here and that I could compete with the very best. The very best. And I think Roy Jones was the very best at that time. He was the #1 pound-for-pound fighter. He had owned that title for several years, consistently. And I think I got cheated out of a victory that I earned and deserved. We know the game is tough, especially when you really don't have the support of what you would call the power structure in the game. If you don't have the support of the power structure, and that's what I really want to show and really educate some of these the people that are watching. Man, I did it the hard way. I never got a break. You understand? I never won a close decision. Everything I earned, I had to be better or more than great. I had to be better than good at every time out. So, nothing was handed to me. And that's what I want people to understand. I earned every win, bro. I earned every win and I deserved it. So when I felt they took something from me, because I walked in that ring a champion that night. And I just don't believe in me being honest and fair like I am. I know Roy didn't beat me that night. And if the fans are being honest and the people are being honest, they admit that. I beat him at his best game. It was my time and I didn't want to be denied. Fortunately, the fans, Don, Mauricio's father, Jose, mandated a rematch. And if it wasn't for that rematch, I don't know where I would be today. But I knew one thing, going into that rematch, I knew I couldn't let that happen again. I really wanted to make a statement. And I think I did that. I rolled the dice, bro. I pushed all in. And it was going to be now or never for me. And those are the risks that I know these guys ain't taking today. You know what I'm saying? The risk and the reward to be great. I challenged myself, and I think I reached that plateau.
Going into that rematch, and everybody was talking about the weight for Roy. He moved back down to light heavyweight. He was training. He was in the same fighter. Even from this short interview and being around you at points this week, I can tell what that would have done to you going into that fight. Just how focused were you to right that wrong? And to prove everybody that, look, it's nothing to do with the weight. I'm just a better fighter.
Well, it was hard to swallow. Like I said, it was my time, man. I fought Roy at 13 years old. I fought him at 13 years old, bro. And if you ain't dominating me at 13, you ain't dominating me, period. I proved that I was one of the best fighters in the world, from the amateurs even all the way up into the pros. I beat everybody that was ranked above me until it wasn't anyone left. I did it, bro. And they can't take that away from me. You know what I'm saying? And so that's why I just feel good about my mindset. And the big thing is I got out unscathed. I didn't get hurt in this game. 23 years, bro. Never been cut, never been knocked out. You understand me? Never had my back on the mat. And I fought all the killers. That speaks volumes, and people just really make light of that. You know, now I'm giving away this experience. I'm training now. I got my own promotional company, Tarver Promotion. I just signed some of the top talent in the country, the Robinson brothers from Baltimore, Maryland, Junior, Antonio Tarver Jr., my namesake, 10-0, and looked like the apple hit me dead in the head. And I just want the boxing world to open their eyes up to what's taking place right in front of them. I got the greatest story never told, and it's time that we tell this story. It's time that we tell Antonio Tarver rise to prominence in boxing.
That rematch, you landed that infamous left hand. It's one of the most iconic shots in boxing history, where you see Roy. It's the first time we've seen Roy hurt like that. Did you know, as soon as it landed, did you know that that was it before he hit the canvas?
Well, no, I didn't know it was it. I knew I landed a good shot. I saw Roy go down, but the champion that he was, you saw he fought hard to get back on his feet. But I think Jay Nady did the right thing. But if you go back and look at that tape, I missed Roy Jones 8 seconds before that knockout with the punch that I think would have did more damage. I shot that left hand so fast and it went a foot past his head. That was the blow. I think that would have caused some serious damage. You know, it would have been worse than the actual punch I landed. Go back and watch that. But 7 seconds later, 8 seconds later, I get it done, man. It was just a unbelievable moment. Like I told you, I was crowned, and take nothing away from Roy Jones, man. He set the bar high. But it takes a real dog to go get another dog. You know what I mean? Like a real beast to go get another beast. We both from Florida. You understand? So I knew what I was up against. But I was built for this, bro. And I tell anyone, it could have been anybody. Sugar Ray Leonard, Marvin Hagler, Hearns, it could have been anybody. I was going to approach it the same way because I was destined to be champion. I was born to be champion. And I never let nobody change my mind. I felt like that, I believed that, and I conquered all my dreams, bro. And when it's said and done, and still to this day, I'm the most, for whatever reason, feared man in boxing. They want to give Mike Tyson that title. But go look back, bro. Nobody even wanted revenge for Roy Jones. Calzaghe retired with an O. That could have been a historical fight. You understand? Andre Ward retired with an O. And I know he idolized Roy Jones. He didn't want none. So these guys can say what they want, but they knew when they called my name, they was in for a hell of a fight. And they better be on their best game because I was one mistake away from closing the show. And that's all I needed was one mistake.
You mentioned those names there, Joe Calzaghe, you mentioned James Toney earlier. If there was one fight that you could have got when you were a pro, who would it have been and why? It
would have been the Joe Calzaghe fight because he did it all. You know, he beat my man Jeff Lacey in amazing fashion. He came over here, fought Hopkins, but him choosing to fight Roy after I had already proved I was the best fighter and I was the king of the division, that really showed me right there that they really didn't want that smoke. Because everybody saw me as a risk, and they never wanted to pay me championship money. So how you gonna make these guys fight? You understand? So it's still the same thing right now. I'm 30 years older than Jake Paul. 30 years. You show me a guy 30 years older than any athlete that's competing. So what makes me different than any other 54-year-old man? I'll be 54 in 2 weeks. Jake Paul's 24, 23 years old, strong buck. He don't want to dance with the Magic Man. And I got everything he want and need, credibility in the game of boxing. Now he gonna mess around and lose to somebody that's not credible. And then what is gonna be a big farce. But if you fight a legend, you fight a GOAT, look good doing it, maybe win, maybe get a respectable decision or whatever, who knows? But if Jake Paul beat me, what does that make Jake Paul? I think that's worth the risk in itself. And I know we'll promote a heck of a fight because can't nobody promote like me. I'm the Magic Man.
We've spoken about some great fights and some great names. We'll talk about one of your more disappointing nights in the office against Bernard Hopkins. What was that like for you? How did you stomach defeat that night against Bernard, who is of course in his own right a great fighter himself?
The fight just never made sense to me, bro. It just never made sense to me. And when I wrapped my mind around it, I just know that the playing field wasn't level. And trust me when I say that. You can go back and look at every fight I ever fought in. That wasn't Antonio Tarver that night, for whatever reason. I'm not taking anything from Bernard Hopkins, a legendary fighter. But I'm one of the most technical boxers, one of the best technical technicians in the game. I've never been outclassed in a boxing match, amateur or pro. And Bernard Hopkins outclassed me in a boxing match, bro. It don't happen. And I'm not saying I can't lose to Hopkins. But for me not to compete and do the things that I normally do in the ring, bro, it was just disheartening. It really was. And the fact that this guy is coming off 2 losses and moving up 2 weight classes, and I couldn't get a rematch clause, that tells me everything I need to know, bro. And they took my status as a champion that night, and I never regained it, unfortunately. They made Hopkins a legend, and I've been climbing ever since to regain my status as a legendary fighter, which I believe I am. I believe I am with all my heart, you know what I'm saying? Because I beat the best, I beat them all. Everybody ranked above me? Come on, bro. Who's done that? Until there was no one left. And after I beat Roy, nobody wanted to fight me. Look at my record. Look who I fought after that. I knocked out a top 10 heavyweight and didn't even get a title shot, bro. You see what I'm saying? And when I look back at my career, that's what I believe was taken from me unjustly. A shot at the heavyweight title, which I could have proved where I stood amongst the giants. You know? So a lot of things was incomplete. I retired. The game didn't retire me. When you go back and look at all the greats, you can see them right on that floor, getting counted out. The game didn't retire me, I retired. Because there's just so much going against me, bro, that I couldn't do it on my own. And I trusted, and I gave all my loyalty to one person. That was Al Heyman. That's the first time I've ever said that on record. But I ain't gonna disclose everything right now, but the book coming, the movie coming, the documentary is on the way. So the greatest story never told, that's my hashtag.
Now we know you as Antonio Tarver, the Magic Man. There will be people who will be watching this who know you as a certain Mason The Line Dixon. You were in Rocky. Now, as a fighter growing up, I can't imagine. I mean, I'm sure, and you as every fighter and every boxing fan like myself who watched all the Rocky movies, could you have ever imagined that one day you would play opposite Sylvester Stallone as the bad guy in a Rocky movie?
I didn't at all. But I can trust me and believe I did the one-arm push-ups. We ate the raw eggs. We did all that, right? As a kid, but never knowing one day I'll get that call. But in 1996, Sly flew me out to Planet Hollywood, flew me back from Atlanta to Planet Hollywood, and we celebrated. You know, we went on the red carpet. It was an amazing night. We sat down, had dinner with my family, his family, and I don't know if that seed was planted then, but once I went on to do the things I accomplished in my professional career, I got that call one day going to training camp, and a familiar voice, and he asked me would I be interested in being a part of that legacy film, franchise film. And I'm like, yeah, where do I sign up? Of course. The only thing was I couldn't tell anyone. I had to go through training camp until after the fight to even mention it. So that was kind of hard. But yeah, that was one of those things I still, pinch myself for at some time. And I'm thankful, I'm grateful for Sly giving me that opportunity. I want to think that I did the film good and that we made magic, man.
What are your memories of shooting? How long was the shoot? What were the days like? What did you do while you were there?
I think I got out there about a month and a half prior to us starting shooting. I learned the script. I learned everything about what was expected of me, my role, and getting to know everybody. And so it all came together, man. A lot of practice. I remember a lot of practice. And Sly always getting on me about time. Man, you had to be on time, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of times I wasn't really, accommodating. So we got into it sometime about time, because you either waiting or you going in the movies, but you gotta be ready. And so I really learned that and understood that time is money. And Sly wasn't wasting none of that. So yeah, that was one of the things. But the script, man, I think I had a real significant role in developing that script because, you know, he had the same one from the previous ones, but I really got in there and kind of, I think, work with Sly to show him like, look, we can do this and we can make it reality. And he wanted that, you know, he wanted that, but he really trusted me on that, how it's supposed to look. And we did a lot of great things. And I'm thankful, man. It was a big opportunity that right now today, I think they know me more for the Rocky Balboa part than what I did in boxing sometime.
You're now retired, happily retired, of course. You work in media. What's that like? I mean, I know you're one of the best analysts in the game. You love to talk boxing.
Yes.
You love to hear you talk boxing. How much do you enjoy that side of what you do now?
I really enjoy it. I really enjoy it, man, because I think I can see that game a little different. You know, through my experiences, through my life experiences, I can see the game a little differently. And I don't mind, you know, letting the fans know what I see. You know, and I think I have a way to break that down where most people can understand it. You know, I love being behind the mic though. You know, I feel that, you know, a lot of times, you know, you can become a TV personality. And I think I bring a little bit something to the table, a little something extra with my personality and who I am naturally, you know. But yeah, I like to call the big fights, man. I like to call the big fights. And working right now, I was working with Pro Box TV. Now I'm probably going to be starting a new venture, but I can't really say anything about it right now. But hopefully in the next week or two, there'll be an announcement.
Just a couple of generic ones now before we let you go. I appreciate your time.
No problem.
Get back
Yes.
to Florida.
Yes, sir.
Do you have any regrets, Champ? Anything that you look back and think, I wish I would have done that slightly differently?
Regrets. There was one time I got asked about the Hopkins fight. I think it was on a live network channel. And you know, I answered the question honestly, but I think I got a little too personal and I got outside of myself. And if I think I could change anything that was on a Showtime situation, you know, my peers was around me and I think I kind of lost control, you know, at that moment. And I should have checked myself. I think I was out of character at the time. And I think, you know, that probably was one of the reasons, you know, that led to my, you know, release from Showtime. You know, if I could change anything, that's what it would be. Because I really felt like I had a place right next to Al Bernstein and the greats, commentators. You know, I was building something. You know, I was building something. And I regret that because I worked so hard to get there.
You mentioned his name earlier on in the interview. Your son, your name,
Yes.
Jr., unbeaten 10-0. What's that like for you? That must be great. Looking at, you know, the bloodline carried on. Your namesake going out there and doing great things as well. Tell us about him. How does he fight? Is he a chip off the old block?
He's definitely a chip off the old block. But I never encouraged him to fight. This is something that he totally, you know, wanted to do. That's why he's a young 34 years old, but it's taken him some time because he didn't have that amateur pedigree to fall back on or to build on. So he had to truly learn this thing, you know, through my experience as well. But it's taken him a little bit longer mentally to get the right mindset that it takes to elevate your game. And you can't rush this. It's a process. So you got to trust the process. So I believe he's right where he want to be. This year coming, January coming, we got another fight that's slated January 21st in Tampa, Florida. He's looking to do his first 10-round fight. And we're looking for a name, we're looking for a face that can really show where Junior's at. And I believe this, from what I see, trust in my eyes, once they see him on national TV, the rest will be history. Because your eyes ain't gonna lie to you. You're gonna see everything that I've been trying to show, you know, where he's at. And it won't be long. So we're looking for a name, looking for a face. He's in the 10 rounders. After that, we're looking to get ranked and we're looking to go at it, just like I went at it. You know what I mean? He know time right now isn't on his side. So it's important that he does everything right. I'm glad he's back in the gym. He just fought on the 22nd. He's right back in the gym, something he hadn't did before. I've been trying to tell him, bro, you got to stay in the gym because you got to catch up with these guys and pass them. But these guys are honing their skills every day. So if you're going to want to compete, man, you got to commit to this game. And you can't take nothing lightly. So he's getting that message right now. I think he's right where he needs to be. Next year is going to be a wonderful year for Tarver Jr.
Final one from me, final question from me. Any excuses tonight?
No excuses, bro. That's my name. No excuses. Mr. No Excuses.
Tell me about that infamous line. No excuses tonight, Roy. I mean, it's almost as famous as the knockout punch. Was that something that was off the spur of the moment, completely off the cuff, or was that something that you preempted beforehand?
I preempted, but didn't know if I was going to go through it or not. I told myself I might do it, depending on how I felt. I didn't know I was going to do it until I did it. You know what I mean? It was one of those things like, man, you know what? You know, I'm going out on faith. I know it's my time. I did the work, and I got a point to prove. Everything lined up, bro. And that's when you believe in the man and you know that, you know, the vision and the dream he gave you is real. I mean, I went with it and there was no turning back. But people got to understand, I could have easily got knocked out that night. I could have easily lost and been a laughing stock. But you got to have that belief, bro. You got to have that belief of a muscle seed, and you can't be deterred. You can't let nobody change your mind no matter what. I was driven. I meant what I said, and I went out and did it. I backed it up. And I don't know if there'll ever be a fighter to come through a division like me and have that icing on the cake. And you can say what you want. I did what I had to do, and I did it the hard way, bro. I ain't have no assistance. Wasn't nobody behind me pushing me. Wasn't no big company pushing me. Wasn't no promoters pushing me. I did it on my own, man. I ran Roy down. I did my thing, and I laid it all on the line. Somebody had to be looking out for me, man. So, you know, I'm proud of that moment. And I want that moment to be an inspiration to all you young fighters out there, man. Once you make your mind up, don't turn around. Go for it. But if you can't see it, you can't be it. You got to be able to see it. See yourself being victorious.
The last one from you. You are a legend of the light heavyweight division. The light heavyweight division is thriving now. You've got Bivol, Beterbiev, Canelo knocking down in recent years. What do you make of that current crop, and who's your number one light heavyweight currently?
Oh man, Bivol and Beterbiev, man, they're gonna have to clash. I mean, these guys have been knocking guys out, looking dominant. Man, yeah, I can't wait to see that showdown.
Your wins have been all the time.
Arthur Beterbiev by knockout, Bivol by decision. Yeah.
So, thank you so much for your time. Get home safe to your lovely home before hopefully we can do this again sometime.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.